the Buccaneers are being forced into an impossible situation. So we have two other prospects that we kind of have to talk about to round out really who's going to be the future Buccaneers linebacker. And this is probably the riskiest bunch where there's some really, really exciting aspects to it, but also some really dangerous things to play with, especially if you're letting the future of the Bucs middle of the field fall to like round 3 potentially. So or further. I'm Sebastian Buccaneers Digest. Welcome back, everyone. But we know that we talked about Golday and Trotter the last video, but like we also have to really discuss, okay, what if those guys get taken and we have basically these two guys left? And obviously there's more linebackers that'll be available afterwards. But if the Bucs don't get one of these guys that we've talked about, so that would be obviously Styles, C.J. Allen, J-Rod, Golday, Trotter, and then these two guys, if we miss out in like that top 7 to 8 range, I mean, we might be cooked. We might be completely cooked. And that's not to say that like one of those or all these guys are guaranteed to be hits, but to not address a massive need on defense, and we obviously have needs at edge rusher too. But the replacement for the great Lavonte David to be alongside Alex Anzalone, to not address that feels wildly not smart. I'll leave it at that. So I really want to just kind of break down why this duo here might actually be more attractive to the Bucs than the previous duo. We were looking through it. One was kind of a project with Golday, the other being a bit similar to Devin White when it comes to Trotter. These are also very different types of linebackers here. Now they're both inside linebackers, obviously, but they have much different strengths, I would say. So, guys, remember, 3,600 subscribers by the end of the day or by the end of tomorrow. That would really, really help. We're trying to get to 4,000 by the draft, so could really, really help us to get even closer by the end of this weekend. So let's just jump right into what we are talking about. The first guy that we're talking about is none other than Anthony Hill Jr., which we did actually mock to the Buccaneers in one of our live stream mock drafts. And this one they have, once again, Mesidor in the first round, and then Oscar Delp in round 3. Delp is definitely climbing the boards much higher than and faster than I would have expected, but that was, these are 3 major positions of need and that are most likely going to be addressed. But that being said, we're focusing on linebacker with Anthony Hill in round 2. Some people even have him a round 3 grade, but there's according to PFF College, the 2 best tackling linebackers in the draft, Styles at 1, Anthony Hill Jr. at 2. And you're like, okay, tackling is like a huge part on defense. Like, why would he be that far down if he's like one of the best tacklers in the draft or linebacker draft? But like, it's very important to realize he may be strong at that part, but boy, you can be a good tackler and not so good in other places. And that's not the case with him, but I do say be prepared for the analysis here. Okay, Quippo from Pewter Report. He has been doing all the linebackers on Pewter Report. He's been doing a great job. This is what he had to say about him. He said, despite Hill's ideal size, he can get bullied by pullers when he doesn't get low throwing his shoulder, which is more often than one would like. Hill's long arms ensure he rarely misses a tackle, but he is often too high and lacks pop/punch, dragging down ball carriers most often. It's almost as if he catches tacklers rather than forces stops. His best reps happen when Hill is run blitzing. Getting ahead of steam helps him play with more physicality and win at the point of attack, but he is too often out of his gap and away from the play, which explains his below-average tackle rate. Hill's long arms allow him to disrupt passing windows, while his movement on a micro scale looks fluid. He doesn't cover much ground within the time to throw, limiting the area he can cover, but he does transition from backpedal to click and close rather well. He has solid hands to take full advantage of balls he gets to. Hill's hip fluidity helps him mirror short stems from tight ends. This helps him create turnovers, which can shift the flow of games. I know that was a lot to take in, but I do want to really help break down. I really like Hill's tape. I really like, in terms of he makes some great plays on the ball, creating turnovers. He's good at ripping the ball out and causing fumbles, and also catching interceptions. He has pretty good ball handling skills. So all that's exciting, but at the same time, a very unconventional style of tackling is what they were referring to, tackling high. But it works for him. That's the weird part, is that maybe he's a bit slow and his pursuit is a bit slow, but when he reaches the guy, he's almost always going to tackle them. It's just that he doesn't reach the guy all that often. So you're like, okay, he's solid in pass coverage, and when the ball comes his way, he usually makes a play on it. But, if he's slow in college, in the NFL, he's going to look even slower, and maybe that will be too much to handle, too much to overcome. Possibly. I think that there are ways to, work around such things. I just think that, listen, his body size is and body type very similar to Styles. He has a lot of really, really great attributes. The long arms is awesome, and he wraps up really, really well despite going high. Because whenever you think of wrapping up, you think of people going for the legs to really just ensure a tackle, and yet for some reason he keeps going high, and that might not translate very well to the NFL. It worked well for him in college. It might not work well in the NFL. Maybe that could be taught out of him. But listen, he just pops out. He just his size. He demands a lot of space, and almost instills fear in quarterbacks trying to throw his way. Because if you throw anywhere near him, he's going to be able to deflect the ball or catch it. And when he catches up to any runners, he can pop the ball out or pull it out. I think that strength is a huge asset for him, and I think could be utilized pretty well. And I don't think we've had a real linebacker like him in a while, I'd say. It would be really, really interesting to see how the Bucs utilize him if it comes down to Hill is their guy. And I could see it, honestly. I could see him being, the guy next to Anzalone, where Anzalone's the Mike linebacker, and Hill is the Will linebacker, kind of executing the play on a more horizontal scale. And I think that there's a lot to like about it. Ooh, spoiler alert for the next guy. But listen, it's just his range, his body range, the way that he can reach guys to get tackles. It's really, really just a huge asset for him. And I think that the Bucs will be definitely considering him at the very least. And if we can get him in round 3, that'd be a steal. I think that he could project to go at round 2. I think a lot of people they get excited about guys' bodies and their what they could do with them and how they can develop them. And Hill is he might be a project similar to what we've talked about in the past, but I just think that the upside is definitely there, and it excites me. So with that being said, let's move on to the second guy that we're going to be talking about, and that would be Kyle Lewis. Now, you might be kind of confused here because this is NFL's ranking, Bucky Brooks in particular, his safety rankings in the draft, and Kyle Lewis is number 2 on this, right below Caleb Downs, the best safety in the draft, and then Dylan Thieneman and Emmanuel, I keep messing this name up, McNeil Warren is underneath Kyle Lewis. A lot of people were clowning on Bucky Brooks for this ranking, but you're like, Seb, okay, I thought we were talking about linebackers, not safeties here. The thing is, the reason why he's really exciting too is because his coverage skills are elite, and that's why I kind of paired Anthony Hill and Lewis together, is that their upside on pass protection and pass coverage in particular is there more than the other guys who are a bit more downfield run blocking and stuffing guys. So that being said, Kyle Lewis is undersized by NFL standards. This is Trevor Sigma's analysis. He says, but he plays with a really nice combination of speed and anticipation, underrated prospect. And the reason why the Bucs could really actually consider him, linebackers out of Pitt, I just feel like there's something about those guys that play really, really physical and could translate well to the NFL. He was the first guy on this double reverse play where he just immediately had the guy in the backfield as soon as he got the ball. Anticipation is key to the linebacking position, and his speed is elite. Now the problem is that size can get to you, and there's just a really unfortunate. I mean, he's 5'11", like he's just under 6 feet, and I relate to that. But at the same time, it's going to drop your draft stock a bit. So let's see what Quippo has to say from Pewter Report. He says that I am concerned about Kyle Lewis's size and how it plays at the NFL level. He doesn't have much punch to his strikes and relies on dragging ball carriers to the ground. Lewis is comfortable matching up with backs who work vertically on wheel routes. He can run seams and deep crossers with wide receivers, forcing high difficulty throws. He has good ball skills with 6 interceptions in the last 2 seasons. Lewis lacks the mass and pop to handle starting duties as a linebacker in the NFL. Tampa Bay's defense asks their linebackers to play on the line of scrimmage often, and that's where his lack of size and physicality really become a detriment. He would struggle to detach from offensive linemen, and his speed would largely be negated in phone booths. But he could stick as a sub-package overhang dime linebacker who can match tight ends in pass-obvious situations and contribute on special teams. He best profiles as a weak side linebacker that will leverage his speed in space as a point-and-shoot player. So, all of this to say, that he's a playmaker, but he's small. And while we can't change his height, obviously, you can put on muscle mass and you can, change his diet to make him a bit bigger of a player. Now, you don't want any of that to ruin his speed because that's one of his best attributes. But at the same time, you like players who have anticipation. But once an offensive lineman were to engage with him or someone else, like a blocker, even just a big wide receiver, he will have trouble getting away from it. And that's not to say that he can't fix that, but it's going to worry teams. He has great instincts and all of that stuff. He can cause turnovers in college, but he might not be able to do it in the NFL because it's pretty obvious. When he's on the field, the team's going to be encouraged to run the ball, and we're going to be kind of It's like he can make plays, but at the same time he's, like they said, relying on dragging down players, not making big hits. No one's going to be scared to engage with him. They're only going to be scared to pass, in his area if he's dropping back in coverage. And that's kind of why he's also been put in this safety range. Some people see him, transitioning to safety or playing as a part-time safety because his coverage skills are great. But, as a linebacker, it's hard to imagine seeing that really translating really well. And it's interesting because just obviously him and Hill are very different in that sense that Hill is really, really big, but he's also kind of slow. But then you have a fast, small guy whose instincts are great, but that also might, both things work as detriments to each other. And you have to decide what's the better opportunity, what's the better fit for the Buccaneers. I think I would lean Hill between these two guys, and I might lean Hill out of all 4 of the guys that we have talked in these past 2 videos, just because I like the long arms. I like, his unconventional tackling, but the strength is there, and I think you can really teach other techniques to him. I think that this, Kyle Lewis is also heavily coachable, and he's has just really intense spunk. The anticipation is a huge factor as to why he'll still be probably a day 2 pick in rounds 2 or 3. Those mental skills can be hard to teach sometimes. It's just a matter of how much can they bulk him up and get him ready for NFL physical hits, and can he become a bigger hitter. The fact that he's holding on for dear life to try and bring guys down a lot of the time is scary. He might have good technique, but he might not have the strength to bring guys down. So all that to say, I wouldn't be mad that we got him. I just know that, once again, he is a project. And all of these guys are. They're all projects. They all have things to work on. Really, once you get past, J-Rod, it becomes okay, what's the guy that we're going to take where there is something that they're severely lacking in, but have somewhat of a high upside as well. Again, deep linebacker class. These guys are all pretty great at something. But you just start to worry about the fact that if we don't get Allen or J-Rod, a lot of Bucs fans, we're already in dooming mode. But it might get even worse for the pressure, at least for Todd Bowles and Jason Licht. So, what do you guys think about these prospects? Do you like them better or worse than yesterday with Golday and Trotter? How would you rank the 4? I'm curious in that sense. Yeah, let me know. Let me see your list, one through four of these guys in particular. If you want to throw in and make the list longer and have like include C.J. Allen and J. Rod, go for it. My guess is they would be above the other four, but you never know. Some people have different opinions. Some people might think that these guys are overrated, underrated. You name it. Let me know down below what you guys think. And until next video, guys, we'll see you then.